for me, it's about creating a legacy which will continue long after I'm gone, and the name mentivity will ring out in a positive way where people know that this is about community, this is about young people, this is about intergenerational, collaboration. Because I think we've lost that. I'm from Barbados and Jamaica, but we're all African. And what you see in those households, you used to see, was the grandparents, the parents, and the children in the home. And that mentoring started off in the home. Sharing those experiences, those stories from the motherland, from the Caribbean, when, like why we came to this country. And I don't think we have that foundation. So what I'm trying to do is create a foundation in the community, safe space. We've got our community hub, which is launching on Saturday, and that's going to be our community center for the next 5 years. And I just want to make it a safe space for young people. I want to create a legacy of changing education, of people volunteering and giving their time to young people in the community, and showcasing that they're not big enough, strong enough to learn and to be vulnerable. And that's what we're doing at Mentivity, because I will go into a school in a session and work with 12, let's say, hard to reach boys, and I leave that session telling them the real truth about the world and telling them about, I haven't got it all figured out. I'm in therapy, I've did 3 years deep nearly, in therapy, and they're like, Ross, sir, you're in therapy, like, what's that like? And
you got issues, man.
Yeah, you got to go Maudsley. And I'm like, no, I'm good. But the thing is about being vulnerable and showcasing, and I think that's what it's about with Mentivity, is that we're going in there saying, look, we don't have all the answers, but we're willing to figure it out in collaboration with yourself.
I love that.
And that's the key thing.
All right, guys, wait, hold up. So we looked at the analytics, and apparently 25% of you who watch this podcast are not subscribed. Now, that doesn't make sense, because if you're watching this podcast, then you clearly like it and you clearly want more. So the best way to get more is to subscribe. And guess what? Even do another thing, subscribe. Hit that little bell button and put the notifications on. So when we post this exquisite content, right, you'll get it directly in your notifications. So subscribe right now. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome to another Goodman Factory episode. You're here with myself, Goodman Manny. We've got Goodman Rizzy.
Hi. Glad to be back.
Man said hi. Some shy modest guy, this TikTok sensation, acting like he ain't got some deep velvet voice underneath that. Anyway,
Hey everyone.
Yeah, we're really, really excited today because we've got two very important guests to help us speak about a very important topic. So it's my pleasure to introduce today Sayce from Mentivity. Sayce is going to talk a bit more about what it is that he does and who he is, and we've also got JP. So thank you guys for coming on the stage today. Coming on the show. Feels like a performance of some sort. We do this every time we start off an episode. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing great.
Good start to the year.
Yeah. I'm doing great. I feel blessed today. I'm feeling good.
Good.
Feeling positive, yeah. It's great to be here. Pleasure to be here.
It's good to hear on a Thursday night.
What about you?
Everyone looking forward to the Friday. I'm good as well. So today's episode essentially is gonna, we're gonna be talking about mentoring young people, mentoring the youth. Everyone on the show today, in some way, in some capacity, works with young people, supports young people, has a passion or a purpose to really support and develop the next generation. And so I think it's really important for us to have our guests on the stage, on the show today. And, with no further ado, I'm actually going to introduce our guests. And, without me doing the introduction, Sayce, I'm going to ask for you to just introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what it is that you do. Yeah,
so full name is Sayce Holmes Lewi, 39 years of age, 40 this year, so the big 40. I am the founder and CEO of Mentivity, which is a mentoring organisation. I founded it 6 years ago on the 14th of January. So we'll be 6 years old on Friday, this coming Friday.
Congratulations,
so,
man.
Yeah, man. So, 6 years of being self-employed and the whole grind with organisations, but it's been a blessing, been the best thing I've ever done outside of having my son. So, yeah, he won't forgive me if I said that. But, so Mentivity is just a mentoring organisation, do a lot of early intervention kind of work. We go into schools, try to support families, carers, and that's the main thing. We're here for the community. So really trying to help young people in their journey of life because it's something that I needed when I was young. So that's what we do.
Okay, thank you. JP, do you want to do a quick intro?
Yes. JP, so J. Paul. I am a football coach, so I work in grassroots football. I work with children 1-to-1. I work with an academy called Round World Academy. So we're an independent academy. So we try and bridge the gap between grassroots football and professional academies. So we try and make that experience as high quality as possible for them. And then PE teaching as well.
Busy man,
Yeah.
busy man,
Love
busy
that.
man.
Yeah.
So, thank you first of all for letting us know what it is that you do. I think for me the natural question to ask, because this is the question I'm often asked, why did you get into what it is that you do, the field that you're in now, whether you want to call it youth work or mentoring? What was the reason why?
Personal experience, to be honest. I grew up in Southeast London on the Aylesbury estate. For 24 years, I lived on that estate, and it molded me as a person. But it was the interactions with men in the community that really gave their time to me, because at the age of 8, my parents separated, and I just encountered a lot of trouble, emotional imbalance, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. I wasn't really in the loop with the whole why we broke up. No one had that conversation with me. So I just really struggled after my dad left, and he was in and around, but he just wasn't consistent. So I really struggled, and there was a lot of men in the community that supported me, through football, mentoring, becoming my coach as well. And that really helped me navigate life. And that's where my passion came from, working with young people. And through football, playing professionally, I had to learn how to coach when I played in the Republic of Ireland. And that's when I realised that, okay, I can actually build rapport with young people in different areas, and been doing this work since I was 16, So, it's just personal experience and the importance of having role models and male role models in the community, especially black men. Abdullah Ben Kamal is my main mentor, as well as Devin Hansen, who's my teacher and PE teacher. But those guys have been ever present in my life since the age of 14, so they're massively important. So just guiding me towards this, and it just feels right, giving back, because it's something that I know that I needed. And if I can be that person for other people, then why not? So that's how I got into it. So 23 years been doing this work.
Well done.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's inspiring.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's inspiring.
Yeah, very, very, very inspiring. I'm gonna come back to you because a few things you said that I wanna kind of speak about. But yourself, JP, what about you? How did you get into working and supporting young people?
So from the beginning, I'll take it back from the beginning. So my dad put a lot of work into me from a young age in football, and I saw the effort that he was putting in, the time that he was investing in me from a young age, and I always thought, this is really set me up for life, and it only really hit me when I came to about 18, 19, and I thought that there's so many positive things that I learned from that experience of my dad coaching me every week, and I thought, even when playing Sunday League and then getting into an academy, I thought that there was always that positive experience with my dad, and it went past me and his relationship, and it was the discipline and all the rest of it that came with that. Was I thought I have to try and give that back to children one day.
Okay. So, what did that look like for you specifically? Like, how did you actually get into working with young people?
Specifically, it actually started with working one-on-one with children.
Okay.
I worked in a coach that used to coach me back in the day asked me to come to his company, Soul, who he's had the most influence on me in terms of coaching, aside from my dad. And he said to me, if you want to come one day and work with him and work with children 1-to-1 and use football as the vehicle, you got an opportunity there. And he was the first person to put me on.
Okay.
And that was great. Working 1-on-1. I think some coaches might start with team first and then go into 1-to-1 after, but I actually went 1-on-1 first, so it was a bit more personal from the get go. And I think that when I then moved and transitioned into team, it set me up a lot better, because then when you've worked 1-on-1 with children, you've got a lot more. You just got that personal relationship with children that you can build on.
The spotlight's on you, especially doing 1-to-1. There's no place to hide.
Place to hide.
Probably brings out the best in you as well.
It does, and I think it's a difficult one. I'll talk about 1-to-1 if you want to go there, but it's definitely a tricky one in terms of you're definitely being brought into maybe a parent's and a child's dream in 1-on-1s.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic.
Okay, so you got into sports coaching specifically through a coach of yours that gave you an opportunity, and then you started coaching.
Yeah.
But you also work in schools at the moment. So how did that come about? And like, how is that at the moment for you? Because it's very different from doing sports coaching for a
different.
sports team, which I think myself and Sayce have done outside of school. But you're doing it actually in school. So how does that look like for you, and how did you get there?
So it's actually a friend of mine, Nabil. He was a coach that works with schools, and he always said to me, you got to come into schools. You got to come and try and work in that environment. So yeah, it's testament to Nabil to put me forward for that role, and then I was able to get a role in schools. But it's been different, very different experience when you have children. When you in football, you have children that want to be there in football, and that was the biggest difference. Working in school in PE, and a child doesn't want to maybe do PE. It's a different experience, and it's been a good challenge. Yeah.
I know exactly how you feel because I worked at a pupil referral unit as an unqualified PE teacher. So I came on as PE teaching assistant. Yeah, I know unqualified. So I went in as PE teaching assistant with this Australian guy called Matt. This guy was amazing. And I had my FA level 1, FA level 2 at that time. And I was like, right, want to get a job in the school and wanted to do PE because that's what I enjoyed. So I ended up doing that. But what you had is those non-engagers, just a nightmare. Like trying to coax them into sport was so difficult, especially with girls and females and how we package that up. Plus it was a pupil referral unit, so centre, you know what I mean? It's different. You got a different demographic of kids who just come in like totally disengaged from society, and you're telling them, come play football. And they're like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't even want to be here. So I know how hard that is, and you got to really be think outside the box when you're doing things.
Absolutely.
So I know how that goes, man. Like it's schools, I've been in school since 2006 as well. So yeah,
different challenge.
Yeah. Trust me, different challenge. Different challenge.
So before you started working for yourself and you set up mentivity, you actually were working in schools. So you also have an experience of being an educator of some sort as well. So what was that experience for you, and why did you decide to then leave to then set up mentivity specifically?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, through football, that's how I got into coaching. And that's when I realized I could build rapport and actually have an impact on young people. So it was by way of that network that I got into working in schools. There was a job that came up as a youth inclusion coordinator at Eltham College. And my old teacher from college said, look, I think you'd be really good for this. Like, can you come and do it? I was like, all right, cool. So I did it for about 3 months. And they were just like, the school, like, you're fantastic. The kids really like align with you. You get on with them. You can control them. Like, why are you not working in schools? And then they offered me a role as a teaching assistant, which was totally different, less money. Went in there. And you just don't get any respect. You don't get respect from teachers because they just think you're from the hood and you're young and just like, they just like you because you're black. Like, no, they like me because they respect
Behavior
me.
management. Guy.
Yeah, exactly that. But I just really, that year I did between 2006, 2007 at Eltham College was really good, especially sports college, really liked it. But then the job at SILS, the pupil referring, it came up and I just said, right, I'm going to go for this one. And that was a totally different kind of transition. But I was just passionate about young people because I became disillusioned with football because I played professional for a couple of years, then I had a really bad injury, was supposed to go to Howard University, Washington DC on a scholarship. That didn't go through. Then I had a kidney disorder. I was just really struggling in life and I really thought, right, what am I going to do? And then I had my son and that's what really motivated me to go into working in schools because I wanted to create a better environment for him. And that was in 2006. So he was really the catalyst for me to actually take that leap and get into education and really using sport, but also the general rapport to really help young people on their journey of life because I needed it in school. So just being a relatable person. So yeah, that was really the catalyst and why I did it. And then from there, I just kept wanting more and kept wanting to do more and just wanted to be a disruptor in the space. So when I went to the pupil referral unit, it was just like, I was still rough around the edges. Like I was from Ellsbury Estate. So growing up, I was a Peckham boy. Like I just didn't know how to be in a professional setting, but the kids loved me. So I didn't really care. In team meetings, I'd be calling out teachers like, you're incompetent. That's why they don't like your lessons and like all that stuff. That's how I've always been. So this is not like something I put on now. This is how I am. So yeah, I was always like that. And I just got the respect from my peers, and then just progressed. And from there, just went into a full-time coaching role for Southwark Council. So yeah, that's how I got into education, man.
Okay. So after a period of time working for the council,
Yeah.
I'm assuming somewhere within that time, you then decided, actually, I want to set up something for myself. So how did mentivity actually start? What was its story?
I've got to go way back now. So I was working for Southwark Community Games, which was a year-round sports project that was run by Southwark Council. I was one of 10 head community sports coaches. And 2011, we were hit with redundancy. So everyone got called into the office and everyone was like, all right, no job. And we're like, okay. So then that was a first seed in terms of thinking, right, I've got to do my own thing. But prior to that, I was trying to get my UEFA B and Southwark blocked me from doing that. And I decided to go to university at the age of 28, go back to education. So I enrolled to the University of East London to study youth and community work with sports development. So I did a combined degree. And that was my way of getting back at them. But I realised as a coach, I wouldn't really progress in the game as a black coach because if established black men who are ex-pros can't get the jobs, how am I going to get a job?
Right.
So I went to university and that was a real challenge. And during that time, that's when I honed the whole philosophy of mentivity. And I was like, right, this is what I want to do. And actually it wasn't called mentivity, it was called sportsmen. So sports mentoring, because I wanted to be specific to sports. That's what I knew. And then I just really started focusing on the other side of it and learning. And through my first kind of case study and my first mentee who was at the pupil fair in it, that's what developed the whole concept for mentivity. So fast forward, I was working for Greenhouse charity as well. So Greenhouse Bethlehem Football Club. I did that from 2006. They also made me redundant in 2015. I experienced a secondary redundancy with Southwark as well. And that was in 2015. I just said, right, I'm done. I'm not working for anybody ever again. I'm not letting anybody tell me that I don't have a job, that I don't have an income. I'm not letting anybody have that power over me. So I just said, right, I'm going to use my redundancy money, set up mentivity. If it fails, I get another job. Simple. 6 years later, I'm here.
You're looking at it, man.
Love that.
Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah,
man.
That's good. You know what I like about that? It's always a reminder to me as well that like a lot of good things come from negative situations.
100%.
Like, no matter what, like that's just like, that's almost like my can I use the word mantra? But that's the thing that I believe in. Like I feel like when you suffer, when you go through an experience or trauma, that's often when like a desire is kind of birthed.
Yeah.
You know, you find your purpose in those moments and stuff. And
growth.
And growth, more importantly, yeah. And tragically, you know, you think about a lot of trusts and stuff. So you think about a lot of young people that have passed away over the years in different circumstances. The trusts that then, and the foundations that then support hundreds and sometimes thousands of children have all come from, unfortunately, maybe the passing of another child that's then sparked a community or a group of people to realize actually we need to step up. And you know, I say that to say this. So some of our listeners might know. So I'm the director of a charity called the Reach Out Project, and when I'll talk about the Reach Out Project in a bit more detail later on, but the Reach Out Project for me is a project that shouldn't exist. That's just how I think about it. I always think that when you've got organizations like ours, they shouldn't exist because they're filling in a gap. There's a gap somewhere, whether it's in education, whether it's in youth services. So, you know, from your point of view, what do you think is the issue at the moment with the engagement of young people in schools? What do you think is the problem that we're seeing with young people? And I'll be specific. You think about the specific demographic of young Black African Caribbean boys with the exclusion rates, with the pockets, and I use the word pockets specifically, like intentionally, pockets of youth violence that we see in particular areas. What do you think is the cause of the problems from your personal point of views and your professional point of views?
I think the main issue in schools are not the children, it's the adults. The adults are the problem. 75% of those adults don't want to be there. 75% of those adults don't have what it takes to be in education, to work with the aforementioned youth, the Black African Caribbean boys. So I think adults are the issue. When I go into schools, I don't have problems with children, you know, because I respect them. And by giving them that respect, then they respect me, and also trying to find that solution to the issues that they're facing. But I think it's the adults, and it's a lack of understanding, a lack of empathy, and it's the demographic that makes up most schools. You look at primary schools, it's the there's a lack of black men in primary schools. It's predominantly women. So when you talk about emotional regulation and intelligence, it's non-existent because you can't model that behavior as a woman to a young man who's struggling, got his own issues. So I think we're not really focusing on what young people need. And we talk about education hasn't changed in 50, 60, 70 years. My son's studying the same books, To Kill a Mockingbird, Macbeth. Like, it's boring. It's boring. Like, I'm over it. And he's over it. So I think we really need to revamp, but we can't revamp a system which wasn't designed to make people flourish. So you need to have your own school. So that's something I'll touch on a little bit later. But I just think it's the adults in education. You've got young teachers who have no life experience working in schools. What can you offer me? What can you tell me about life? Like, I live on a council estate. I struggle on a day-to-day to eat food. What can you tell me that's going to benefit me? What life experience do you have? And a lot of these teachers don't have that. When I was young, teachers were experienced adults who had stories to tell and had things to offer. They don't do that now because they don't care. It's just a paycheck for rural people coming to London.
That blows my mind, honestly, hearing that. Because I've never looked at it that way. Like, when I think about the problems, I've got friends that work in schools, and I've never heard it from that point of view. That it's because there's, adults that don't relate to the kids. That's why we have these problems.
Yeah, I'm old, man. I've been in education for time, so like I've seen a lot, and that's why I've really arrived at, and just adults that are really set in their ways and have no kind of, they have a fixed mindset. Having a fixed mindset in education makes no sense. Like, you shouldn't be in education, and I think we have to do more kind of aptitude tests for teachers that are in these settings, especially in pupil referral units. And what can you offer? And it's about leaders as well. There's a lack of leadership. At the top level, people want to do it their way
For the wrong reasons.
but it's not about you. It's about young people. So you keep making decisions about young people and they're not in the room. Adults are making, doesn't make any sense. How are they going to make decisions as adults if they don't practice it as children? So again, it's too authoritarian in schools, and I just think it's a one-track approach, and we really need to think outside the box, and we're trying to engage young people.
What kind of approach do you make, like, when it comes to kids? Like, how's your strategy different to the average teacher
or mainstream education? What is it that you provide that makes it work?
I think for us, because we're kind of a standalone organisation, we can kind of, we're free to do what we want within the remit of the school. But it's about consulting young people and meeting them where they're at, which is a facet of youth work. Informal education, enlarging experiences through conversation, which is a key thing. Young people don't know how to conversate. They don't know how to articulate themselves because they're all in their phones. You don't go into school and learn about debating skills or how to articulate yourself under pressure or how to regulate your emotions. It's all about grades. And that puts them under a lot of pressure. So I think for us, when we go into schools, we do have a curriculum that we deliver, but we make it bespoke because we've got such a large bank of sessions based on the experience over the last 6 years. We go in and we speak to young people, say, right, where are you at? What do you need? We're here for you. And from there, they're just like, wow, I've never heard this before. Wow. So that's a key thing. It's a consultation and working in collaboration, because young people, if they don't voluntarily engage in that relationship with you, nothing's going to happen.
Pointless.
You know how it goes. Like, they won't engage. So you've got to make sure that you break it down to them, meet them where they're at, and make it a safe space, because they're vulnerable. A lot of these young people are vulnerable, and there's not enough safe spaces for them. And also, programs like Mentivity, I can go into a school and get funded for 6 weeks, and then I'm gone. So they're used to that, used to people letting them down, so they don't want to let me in. So what's going to be any different? And I've had that resistance so many times. So meeting them where they're at and really consulting them is a key thing.
I like that. And just to summarize, your answer to the first question, the 3 things that I got from that was, 1, teacher recruitment requires a lot of work. School leadership is very important, and who represents the school leadership within the schools. And the last one is the structure. Because if education hasn't been changed since the Industrial Revolution, that's literally what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
Since the Industrial Revolution, education has been the same.
Yeah.
You might hear people on the internet talk all the time about what sounds like revolutionary ideas, but I guarantee you it's not. You've got inspired individuals in schools trying to make an effort, and then you get someone in government that will say, tomorrow you're all doing this. And when you're a state school, everyone's doing that, whether you like it or not. So you
Simple.
literally have robots that I don't actually think have all been joining the profession to be robots.
Yeah.
I take it from someone that, I work in schools, like, I'm in senior leadership. So I say it from the point of view that I know that school, education in this country, it can make people into robots. People that go into it with a passion, eager to learn.
Yeah.
5-10 years into it, they couldn't give a toss.
Yeah.
They're tired,
Standard.
they're stressed, underpaid.
Yeah.
Kids aren't listening, but then even if they had the idea and the resources to do it, someone's saying to them, by the end of this day, I need this particular report on something that has very little impact.
Paper pushers, that's it.
A lot of tick boxing activity in education, So those were the 3 things that I heard from what you said.
Yeah.
JP, I'm going to come to you, bro.
Yeah.
You didn't get out of this. Going to give us some more. So, question goes out to you as well, from your experience as a teacher, as an educator, as a coach, someone that works with young people, what do you see as like the main problems that our youth are struggling with today?
I think similar to what Sayce was saying there. I think that as we know, they're growing up on screens, and that communication there. Even at home, I don't think we're going to see the damage of certain things with technology until maybe 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
In this, so what would be a right word to say? Maybe,
Technological age.
No, maybe I was going to say maybe self-centered.
Yeah.
Self-centered way.
Love that.
Self-centered life that we live a bit more now. So I think that even at home with parents, I don't see what everyone does at home, but I can be sure that parents maybe are more focused on their phones than they are their children at times, and I think, over time, if that continues, and if they won't be able to tell maybe at times when children need certain conversations and how they're feeling and certain things, so that maybe come out in the school environment, and you got no hope if a teacher can't read that energy, or or can't pull them to the side and and try and get to the bottom of why they're acting how they are. And I just think that it's got to change in that sense, in terms of the support that children are receiving, not only at home but at school. And I think that what I see a lot more now is schools and parents don't get along.
Yeah.
And
Why is that?
I'm not going to say across the board. I'm not going to say, but that just seems certain conversations that I've had with, family members that have worked in schools and friends that have worked in schools seem to say the parents don't seem to get along with the teachers and things, and don't always agree. There's a bit of a friction when it comes to that relationship. And I can only think that, your love for your child, you may always, you can't really be told, you need to be humble. To have maybe a teacher speak to you, about your child and maybe tell you certain things.
Don't tell me about my child.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm sure loads of parents say that.
Exactly. And I'm sure that, some children, they might be great at home.
Yeah.
When they get to school, they act a different way.
Yep.
And maybe their parents might not ever see that side. And
that's good.
So I agree with you fully in terms of the lack of relationship between parents and the school. And that's one of the things that we do well at Mentivity, is we are in the middle ground. We try to triangulate the information sharing, because that's the key thing. There's a breakdown in communication between the school and the parents and the young person, not keeping them in the loop. So we try to be central to that whole process and try to navigate that difficult kind of relationship building with the parents, and kind of do that work with the parents to say, look, this is what you're doing wrong, and like, no disrespect, but we're just honest, and you're not helping your child. But then also the school, like, you're not helping this child, or you're not helping the parent to understand what's going on.
Right.
So it's the key thing is that information is not shared, because there's so much pressure. Just like what you said, young people are not being supported, but teachers are not being supported. Because you said they're being overworked, right? So they can't do the things that they want to do and take the time to actually invest that in young people. So then that young person falls by the wayside because of the constraints of the job. So it's mad. I've seen it so many times in people that are so passionate in the beginning, and they're just like, nah, I'm done. Like you said, after 3-4 years, like, nah, I'm just here to get my money. You know what I mean? And people are so self-centered because we live in a capitalist country. It's all about yourself.
The individual.
What you can. Yeah, so it's no, and that's, you know, linking that to community. There's no community. Like I would tell people, there is no community.
No.
Like there's not a community whereby people are safe. We don't have a community because young people are not safe and women are not safe.
Yeah.
So we don't have a community.
Right.
Yeah.
Until they're safe, then we can say we have a society that is safe for people to flourish.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know what? It's all a vicious cycle anyway, because one of the things that I strongly believe is like the school is the hub of the community. Like I'm sure I've said that at least once or twice on this podcast. The school is the hub of the community. And you have to think the same schools that we're talking about, if we're saying that they're operating in a broken system, a lot of these parents have been through that school system and have no faith in it.
Yeah.
So what they do is to project, you know, their negative experiences, their emotions, like I see on a day-to-day basis, you know. The way parents engage with school teachers or school leaders is purely based on the way someone made them feel 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's your problem? What's your problem with me? I ain't done nothing to you. But you kind of really have to step back and you have to look at it holistically and say, well, actually, if education has failed so many people within this particular community already, when they're bringing their children to that same school within the same community, even if it's a different teacher, this is a 21-year-old fresh baby-faced teacher, has nothing to do with what you went through.
Yeah.
They just look at you as one system that's failed.
That's it.
That's all they're looking at.
Yeah.
And so the schools have to really make like a real effort. You know, there's a buzzword within education called parental engagement, like, but that has to be at the heart of like all that you do, as well as pupil voice, because they're all stakeholders.
Yeah.
The parent is a stakeholder, the child is a stakeholder, the governors are community leaders, everybody is. So if you don't make parents feel included, involved, you don't listen to them, you don't pay attention to them, you don't show them respect at the gates, those little things, they're not going to buy into anything that you do. They're going to be the ones where you say to them, could you wear a mask? And they're lying to you saying, I ain't wearing no mask. Or like it's just the little interactions you have with them.
Yeah.
You know, so it is a bit of a vicious cycle. There was something that you both said in the beginning, and I find it quite fascinating. So when you both spoke about your personal experiences and why you kind of got into working with young people, you both mentioned men in your lives. You mentioned your father, JP,
right,
and you mentioned a coach that supported you. But I'm assuming the experience that you went through with your father also played a part in things positively and negatively growing up.
Definitely.
So what would you say is the role of men in our community, in our society today, with the problems that we see? Like what is it that men can do?
The most important thing that we can do as men is give time to other people's children. That's what I feel, because without that, I wouldn't be where I am today. Look, my mum, she raised 7 of us by herself pretty much. You know, My dad, he did the best that he could do. You know, he was going through things that he needed to overcome, and he didn't have the power or knowledge at that time to overcome. He was still young. You know, he was 24 when he had me. My mom was 18. So you can understand with them now trying to navigate themselves in a often hostile environment that is, you know, London and the UK in the 70s, 80s, you know, it was hard for them. So I think with men, we have to give more time to other people's children. And with me, you know, with Abdullah lived on the Glebe estate in Peckham. He was, you know, in living an unfulfilled life in terms of, right, he's just going to conform to what was going on in the area. You know, people trying to make money and by any means necessary. And he realized that his younger brothers are going down the same route. And he just said, right, I'm going to get them off the streets for football, get as many kids off the streets for football. And he started that when they were probably about 9, 10. So the same age as me. So he's done that now in terms of coaching for like 26, 27 years. And without Abdullah in my life, a crucial point in my life at 14, when I just transitioned from being around my boys, they were all Peckham boys, I realized now, and after witnessing a stabbing, you know, at 14, I was like, nah, I can't roll with these guys because I'm an all or nothing person.
Mm-hmm.
So if something happens to me, I'm going to take it to the fullest extreme because that's how I am. So I said, you know what? To protect myself, I need to start hanging around with these guys. So I started hanging around with them, and most of them were Peckham boys. And when people got wind of that in school in year 10, it was a madness for me. Like I was getting bullied, and it took me 20 years to really realize that I got bullied because I was the guy doing the bullying probably in school. You know what I mean? I just badding people up on a regular because that's how it was. And I went to Kingsdale School in South East London, and that school was mad. It had boys from Ghetto, boys from Peckham, Boys from Brixton. So every day was like a giant episode of Blue Story. Every day. Like, it was just a madness. So it was mad. So for me now to come away from that, it was hard. And that's when Mr. Devon Hansen came in. He was my head of year. And those two guys worked in unison because they knew each other.
Oh,
and they knew me and they just said, yeah, okay, he's paying for you. All right, yeah. He's not behaving in school, so don't play him on the weekend. And that's how it was, you know? So, yeah, but without Abs and Devon, you know, I swear, I just don't know where I would be because they were so important. They continually gave me that advice, that time, that love. And I can call them now and they'll pick up and they still mentor me now, but I feel like it's also reverse mentoring because they're learning from me now because I'm a man now. So it's a beautiful thing. So that's why it's so important for us to give time to other people's children because they know that you're not obligated to be there.
Yeah.
There's no, other than getting paid, or if you're giving your time to a young person like coaching, like we've done for how long, they know he's here for me.
Mm-hmm.
He's here because he cares about me. And young people want to feel that. You know, they want to feel that love.
Definitely.
So that's the key thing for me. That's what men have to do.
From
Beautiful.
What I've learned from what you just said is that even like when you help the younger generation, you're helping the generation that comes after them.
100%.
The people that helped you inspired you to do the work you're doing now.
Yeah.
So that's how much
Powerful.
impact and powerful,
Massive.
you know, helping a young person can do.
Yeah.
Just the
amazing.
one, by the way.
Yeah.
Just the one.
Yeah, literally.
How many young people do you support now through mentivity?
Oof.
Or have you? Even that's an even harder question.
Over 6 years, I'll say on average, we've worked with about 2,000 young people per year. Out of that 2,000 per year, I would say extensive work would be between 300 and 400. And out of that, we have mentees now, probably about 30 mentees that are really pivotal in terms of what we're doing now and still contributing, come down to every event. Like they're just mentivity, like through and through. So they champion it wherever they go. So, you know, I think in my life, working with young people, I've worked with over 20,000 young people.
Hey, you've made it halfway through the episode, and just for doing that, we want to celebrate you. So we're going to give you an opportunity to get a discount code. Not 15%, no, it's going to be 30%. So what we're going to ask for you to do is type in HTGM on www.goodmanfactory.com, HTGM, and get yourself a 30% discount code for being such a loyal subscriber. Thank you.
Without doubt.
Probably easily.
Oh, yeah. But I've done a lot.
Yeah.
I've done a lot, especially in Southwark. Like I can't walk down Wolf Road, Peckham, without seeing a young man now or a grown man like, yo, sir, what's going on? Like, I'm like, yeah, well, oh yeah, it's you. Because I always remember their faces, I always remember their names, and that's important as well. So it's just important. You've got to give time, man. Like time is love. Time is value, you know, and that makes people feel valued.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, man. Again, the power of community. JP, what about yourself?
What was the question?
The role of men in supporting and engaging young people, young boys, should I say, in society and in our communities today?
Yeah, I mean, Sayce has touched on the main aspects. But yeah, to be honest, I see sport as being a massive vehicle for children, for supporting children, because when they're in that formal environment of school, it's very difficult for them to open up in that way, and they might open up in different ways with sport, and I've seen that, and I think that when it's not as formal, it just offers them a safe space to be away from school and just be away from family and just be in that during that leisure period of sport. There's so many positive things that come from it, and I feel when children are in sport, they're able to open up. They're just able to open up, and they're being in that positive environment will just bring that out. So even if they feel bad, it will bring it out, because in a different way. So where you might sit in class and not say a word, Coach Sayce will come. They might tell you some stuff that they don't even tell their teachers.
All of that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that, like Sayce said, it's positive male role models, and it's given time. It is ultimately given time, because it's not a case of money and all the rest of it. It's time. Children need time.
But
they need time, and they need love and respect.
Yeah, definitely.
And a safe space.
But you know the thing about children and young people that I love, especially from ends, they know if you're there for them or not. They can see through you. From the minute you walk through that door, they've already got your number. They already know who you are. Like, let's give him help.
Read the energy.
Like, literally, I remember going to a school in Tottenham, so Woodside High and White Hart Lane, so not far from Broadwater Farm. Now these kids, they didn't play. I went there by myself, delivered my session. I went in there, they're like, oh, who's this guy, man? Like, some dead mentor, man. Like, get out of there, man. And then, like, you're there, like, right, okay, you're not trying to bad me up. All right, cool, you don't know who I am. So I'm like, all right, cool. I had to put it on them, like, for about 45 minutes, like, let them know, like, this badge, when it comes on, I'm a civilian, just like you. Don't disrespect me, because if you go out on road and talk to another grown man like that, they're going to deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Then you got a few still pushing. But I had to break through that barrier because they had been let down by so many different men in that establishment. Therefore, they didn't want to let me in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, about 8 of those young people, like, I speak to them on a regular.
Mm-hmm.
And they come down to every event, and they're doing great things now because they're now 18.
Yeah.
We started working with them when they were 14. That was like 4 years ago. And now I'm just so proud of them, what they're doing. And we just molded them through their passions. And like you said, with sport, I think it's so integral. But it's important that we signpost young people to their passions. And that's what we do at Mentivity. And use that passion to navigate them away from negativity and change that trajectory. Because that passion is what gets you through. Like football, getting up early to go and play a game. Like, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. to go and travel. You'll do it because it's football, you love it.
Of course.
But if you're getting up to go and write an essay on To Kill a Mockingbird, it's like, I'm staying in bed. I'm staying in bed.
Hey, listen, any English teachers here, we don't hate that book. We're just saying.
I love English. I love it.
Same, but it's the point. The point stands is like you're not changing anything. You're not making it creative. You're not making it interactive. You just
not at all.
I can't believe they're still reading the same books.
I
can.
Shocked.
That is...
It's outdated.
Human.
It's outdated.
Listen,
Charles Dickinson. And
Charles Dickinson, all that.
Shakespeare.
Inspector Calls, you remember that?
Yeah.
Listen.
I can't believe those books are still in school.
Hamlet. The whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
My son comes home, he's in year 11.
Mile.
He's in year 11. So he comes home with the books. I'm like, bro, I got essays in the cupboard I can show you from year 10. September 12th, 1998. Like,
I believe it, because
Like,
I've got the books as well at home. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Mind,
got to switch out, man.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to hear that you feel that men have a role, and that men are playing some type of part in kind of changing the narrative. The question I'm going to ask to you both next, which is quite a difficult question, but really, what is your vision for young people? But you can be very specific and say, what is your vision for Mentivity in terms of like what's your vision for Mentivity? What do you want it to do, like to fulfill? And likewise, JP, either for yourself personally or education, because that's where you work.
Yeah.
Like what's your vision? Like what do you want to see happen and change or do?
For me, it's about creating a legacy which will continue long after I'm gone, and the name Mentivity will ring out in a positive way where people know that this is about community, this is about young people, this is about intergenerational, collaboration. Because I think we've lost that. I'm from Barbados and Jamaica, but we're all African. And what you see in those households, you used to see, was the grandparents, the parents, and the children in the home. And that mentoring started off in the home. Sharing those experiences, those stories from the motherland, from the Caribbean, when why we came to this country. And I don't think we have that foundation. So what I'm trying to do is create a foundation in the community, safe space. We've got our community hub, which is launching on Saturday, and that's going to be our community center for the next 5 years. And I just want to make it a safe space for young people. I want to create a legacy of changing education, of people volunteering and giving their time to young people in the community, and showcasing that they're not big enough, strong enough to learn and to be vulnerable. And that's what we're doing at Mentivity, because I will go into a school in a session and work with 12, let's say, hard to reach boys, and I leave that session telling them the real truth about the world and telling them about, I haven't got it all figured out. I'm in therapy, I did 3 years deep nearly, in therapy, and they're like, Ross, sir, you're in therapy, like, what's that like? And
you got issues, man.
Yeah, you got to go Maudsley. And I'm like, no, I'm good. But the thing is about being vulnerable and showcasing, and I think that's what it's about with Mentivity, is that we're going in there saying, look, we don't have all the answers, but we're willing to figure it out in collaboration with yourself.
I love that.
And that's the key thing. So it's intergenerational mentoring and education for me, having our school, having our community centre, and having a kind of ethos in the community whereby we bring respect back into everyday life. There's a lack of respect and self-respect too. So that's my vision for young people, and allowing them to really drive forward what shapes them and their future, because they don't feel empowered, and we got to give them a voice. And that's why it's about consultation. You know, I'm not dictatorial when it comes to running the organization or speaking to young people, because I learn from them too. And it's important to show them that you have something to offer this world. And that's what I think mentivity shows them, that you have something to offer this world. You have a gift, you have a passion. So share that with the world and enjoy your life in the process.
That's beautiful. I love that. JP, no pressure.
That's a great answer.
I'm joking.
No, I think specifically, nothing specifically in terms of the vision. I think I'm still figuring it out as I go along. Still in my 20s. So I'm trying to figure it out and try and see where I can fit in the space and how I can help young people. But I think just being more present online, so then I can have access to more eyes, and you know, and have young people see positivity and receive positive messages, because I've experienced, like I said, a very positive upbringing, and my dad provided me that, and I feel if we can give that the experience, and I know the power of it, of having a positive male, especially a male role model, it can, you know, set things up for life, for children, and it will hopefully have a ripple effect in society, hopefully. But you know, I'm hoping that with teachers like ourselves, that there's more within the community, more in the community, and more people that are aware of things culturally, just being culturally aware. Because, you know, like we were saying about the education system being so outdated, sometimes I feel it's pushed on by people that are maybe not so culturally aware at times. So they're not able to offer, you know, massive help for everyone across the board. Only specific people from specific backgrounds. So I'm hoping that is partially a vision. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
No, that's good. Yeah. That's good. That's good. You know, what about yourself, Rizzy? Because, you know, I don't want the Goodman Factory to be excluded from this conversation, and the reason why is because the Goodman Factory in itself was created by yourself and by Dami for, in some ways, different reasons. You know, if the camera zooms into your beard right now, that actually is the reason why Goodman Factory was created. It's for the luxury, fantastic Goodman beard oil and products. But, you know, you also then realize that actually there was a gap, and that gap was really, how can we promote the voices of our positive male role models within our communities, but then how can we create a safe space? So, you know, speaking on behalf of yourself and also Goodman Dami, what is your vision for the Goodman Factory community and for the people that will engage with?
Yeah, so we just want to like give voices to people like Sayce and JP, you know, like bringing them onto our platform, you know, raising awareness on like the issues, you know, amongst like young people. And as a platform, we just want to support people that are doing positive work out there. So that's why, you know, I connected with Sayce, saw the great work he was doing online. I was like, he's doing great stuff. Like Sayce is doing amazing things online. You know, I've got a personal relationship with JP. JP works with young kids, and I want to document that. I want to show the greatness that they're doing on our platform, you know, because I'm you know, you've worked a lot with mainstream media. I would love to know what that experience was like. But I feel like us as a platform, Goodman Factory, like me and Malik want to bring, you know, individuals like yourself onto our platform. We want to work closely, and if there's any way we can support you, Goodman Factory is here.
And likewise.
Yeah, that's it. Standard. Yeah. That's it. It's all about collaboration.
Yeah, because, you know, it takes community, and, you know, the purpose of us coming together on this episode was to just work out, you know, how can we support each other? Do we share the same vision? And based on the visions that you've both shared on this episode, you know, is very aligned with Goodman Factory, and we're in full support.
I appreciate that, Reece.
And just to add to that vision, so with the Reach Out project, very similar to Mentivity in that we're a mentoring program. We provide one-to-one mentoring, group mentoring, work experience, workshops, and similar to what you said, we see ourselves as the bridge between young people and the educational setting and the professional working world, the real working world. And I think that's where the gap is. Young people not really seeing life outside of Croydon, outside of Lewisham, outside of Newham. They just think about their area and don't think that actually when they see people on the train on their way to Canary Wharf or to Farringdon, that those people can also be them. And you can also still be from ends, and that's actually realistic. And so you know, for myself, the vision for the Reach Out project really, and I hope my colleagues Lillian and Michaela are happy with me to say this, is that we want to just change the narrative for young people that come from the communities that we come from. You know, it's no longer good enough for us to just put our young black children, our young, you know, ethnic minority children into the same narrative of, they're not going to do well in school. They're going to get excluded from school. They're going to go to pupil referral units. They're going to go to prison, because we're seeing too many of our young people do that. And so I think everybody in this room plays a part in some way in changing the narrative. We just all do it in different ways. And similar to yourself, I would love for our communities and the people within those communities to really just put our minds together, our resources together, genuinely, and create something that nobody saw coming. And for me, my personal vision, my personal goal is to be able to set up an educational provision that caters for the young people within my community. That doesn't have to be a state school. It could be classed as an alternative provision. I don't care, because the young people that go to that school ultimately will get the best education, the best teachers. They will see representation of people that look like them, that care about them, like what, you know, Sayce was saying. And it will be the hub for its community, as in our parents will learn and understand how to educate their own children, how to help them navigate through a very difficult world. Our immigrant parents will know what to do, what to say, what to apply for. That's what education should be. You know, and so that's my dream, that's my vision. I like to dream big, because when it's impossible, it just makes you strive even more to do it.
That's a very good dream.
So what if I said to you, we can do that in 18 months?
Then I'd say to you, let's go.
Cool. It sounds like you're going to be the head teacher, because I've already got people lined up, building all that stuff.
Bro, I don't even want to be a head teacher. I want to be part of the creation of something. You know, like for me, it's legacy.
Yeah, of course.
You get it? Like, you know, being in the role that I'm in now as an assistant head, many people say to me, oh, like, okay, you're like soon going to get to headship. And obviously for your school, for our school, I'll be a head, you know. But you know what I associate with head teachers? It's no different from being a teacher, in that you have more control over a school, but you're still, you know, and I mean this with the biggest respect, in some ways you're still a puppet, or you're being maneuvered. Right now there are head teachers across this country that are stressed. Do you know why? Because on Monday a guideline will come out and they need to follow that, and all they're doing is just telling the rest of their staff how to do that. They're not all in a position to do anything revolutionary. And so for me, it's like, if you can't change something from within, which is what I tried to do when I got into education 10 years ago, the next thing is to create your own thing. Similar to Mentivity, you know, he had to get out of that to be able to create something that provides something for now 2,000, 20,000 children. So that's, my mind isn't like head teacher sometimes. It's like, well, actually, I ain't got to be the head of that provision or school. I just want to see those schools set up all over the gaff.
That's it.
Internationally, if I have to go back home to Africa, Nigeria, my cousins, set up something for them.
It's happening.
The dream can never be too big.
Has anyone done that in the UK?
Yeah, there's
Are there different like alternative type schools that someone set up? With
it's a very intricate and very, because there's different ways. You know, you could do it through a charity.
Right.
A lot of alternative provisions. Some of them have actually started off as just an organisation. It doesn't take much in theory to set up a school.
What does it take?
You've got Muslim schools. It's an organisation. It's a foundation. You've got Sikh schools. It's, you know, you can set up a church school. You know. There's just things you got to do and processes you got to go through and applications you got to meet and make sure you got money, and the government got to give you a building, stuff like that. But you know, but if you got people that are prepared to fund you and be supporters of you, be governors for you, be trustees for you, which we can have. Think about all the people that we have within our community.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
That's my legacy, man. The school. That's it. That's what I want.
Well, there we go. So
I want alternative education in the sense that it's informal education alongside the formal.
but it's quality.
But it's not like the normal curriculum. It's that we've created our bespoke curriculum.
And it's quality.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you don't get people to subscribe to something that they think just sounds like a great idea. I'm not here to set up some youth club.
No.
I'm talking about the very best of the best. You know, our children will go on to do whatever they want to do. Doctors, the best basketball players you saw at the cup, whatever it is, but they've got a space where they're genuinely going to learn, and they're not going to know what exclusion feels like.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate dream.
I love that.
Yeah. So you heard it here first in the Goodman Factory.
we go.
Listen, 18 months, we're making it happen.
We got some big plans.
Love that.
Some big plans. I'm gonna digress and just take the tone down a little bit, and then there's one more thing I want us to address before you might want to add something. We spoke about role models that were quite close to us and personal to us. Who were your actual role models outside of the family and people that you knew personally? Like when you were growing up, who did you look up to?
Oh man,
Or the people?
it's football, innit?
Yeah.
Ian Wright. Ian Wright.
okay.
Ian Wright was
Big up Uncle Ian.
Listen, that guy.
Right.
He also helped me, along because he was so charismatic. He had a second chance at life through football, and he made it late. And he enjoyed every moment of that. Like he's larger than life personality. So when I first saw Ian Wright was when he played for Crystal Palace. And then my dad was watching football and was like, oh, look at these guys up front, the two black guys up front, because it was Wright and Bright, innit? And then I was like, oh, I like this game. What is this? So I started watching it, and then he moved to Arsenal. Then I started supporting Arsenal. Then I found out when my dad left that my birthday was the same as Ian Wright.
Oh, swear.
I was also a striker. I love to score goals because of Ian Wright. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a pro baller. So Ian Wright literally indirectly raised me through all that he did in the game. And like, I love him. Like, I haven't met him yet. I know I will when the time is right. But that guy was the whole reason why I play football. Because football allowed me to feel safe, also enjoy myself, but get all my anger out and all my frustration out. And that's what I saw in him as well, because he was playing so hard every single game. Remember that with Peter Schmeichel when he alleged racist abuse and all that, and the tackle he put on him, the goals he scored, but he was hungry, that fight. And that was what I was about growing up from South East London. So yeah, man, Ian Wright, it's my guy.
Sure, big up Uncle, man.
Yeah, man.
It's actually crazy how many people became Arsenal supporters because of Ian Wright.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same. I remember from between like the age of like 5 and 8, I think I supported like 3 different teams.
Don't say Tottenham.
I didn't even know who Tottenham were at the time. But I remember Man United. I can't remember why, because I think it was just a name to hear.
Oh man, they were the brand.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was Chelsea because my cousins, like my closest cousins, supported Chelsea. And then it was Arsenal. But then I thought to myself, why did I move from Man United? I remember thinking to myself, wow, you're a bit of a snake. Like, why did you move from Man United to Arsenal? And I remember there was all the men around me, all spoke about Ian Wright, who played for Arsenal. And my dad's not a massive football person, but he was in adoration of Ian Wright. And because he was just that figure, I thought, oh, okay. And I also kind of associated Arsenal with like kind of like the black team. Like, they were the only team I thought
Kevin
of.
Campbell.
Yeah, the only team, Rocky,
Rocastle, yeah.
So I'm just
Paul
thinking
Davis,
about,
all that, man. Trust
so they
me.
just seemed like the team for the people.
Yeah.
So, and then that's kind of how I got into it. So it's funny how like he indirectly kind of like affects people and inspires, even till this day, big up Ian Wright. He's been a massive supporter and partner of the Reach Out Project. Because of him, we literally have been able to like support young people for the last 4 or 5 years. And he's so humble with it. He does it because he doesn't have to. The support and the mentoring that he provides us at the Reach Out Project, like I said it the other day on the tweet, like if there's not a statue of Ian Wright in every hood in a couple of years, we've let him down.
Let's make it ourselves.
Yeah, we have to, man. Whatever we make it out of still. But yeah, what about you, JP? Who were your inspirational figures growing up?
Thierry.
Thierry
Henry. Yeah. The funny thing is, I've actually met him a few times as well.
Lucky.
So it was a funny one.
Yeah.
I remember going to the Arsenal soccer school when I was young. And I was getting picked up in the car park, and I saw him. He stepped out his car. Couldn't believe it. I froze, and then I called him out, and he come over to me and had a conversation. It was amazing. But it goes without saying, the inspiration. It went past football. I think it just, when you see someone that is able to even at times pull a team. Yeah. At times it was like put that team on his back and just take the responsibility, and that was just inspiring. Even regardless of the football itself, just being able to take weight and responsibility. Yeah. And at times it felt like towards the end it felt like he was, because obviously a lot of the good players left. So he was like one of one of the legends, the last legends.
Yeah.
Because even when he went to the new stadium, when we went to Emirates, it felt like he overstayed.
Yeah.
At that time, and I just felt like it was just inspiring to see someone to keep going. Yeah, it just goes without saying he was amazing at the time, and he's the reason why again that I played football.
Yeah.
I looked at him and tried to copy everything he did. And that was
best
it.
striker
That
since
was it.
R9. Best striker since R9.
Yeah,
Legend.
I concur. Yeah, I
It's the
agree.
closest thing you'll ever get to real
100%.
Ronaldo. Closest.
100%.
I always wished he was at Man United.
Never.
I was jealous. I can't lie.
Yeah, no, Henry was he was another legend still. What about you? Inspirational figures or a person growing up?
When I was young, I can't really think of someone who I saw as like a role model. I'll be honest with you. But maybe when I got to about college, I've said this on an episode before, earlier when we started the pod, but I feel like Jamie and Skepta both had, like in music, both had a positive impact on like myself. I think their creativity in music inspired me, especially because they're, you know, young, Nigerian, London born. So yeah, it triggered something from within. I can't explain it, but it made me believe more in like that creative part of myself. But yeah, Jamie and
Skepta, that's a good shout.
Massive,
Still,
massive.
it's a good shout. Yeah, similar to you. Mine wasn't football related per se. For me, like funny enough, growing up, it was a set of like rappers from back in the day. Like I loved music obviously, and I loved rap and hip hop music. And like Mos Def was someone I was a massive fan of. Ludacris, he might even be the reason why I loved hip hop. You know, but I wasn't in awe of any of them. But they were the reasons why I loved music. So like even when I started rapping and doing music, you know, I kind of like modeled a lot of my style on like Mos Def, Common, you know, a bit of Ludacris, you know, loved J. Cole, loved Drake. So there were people that I really loved. But I think the one person that indirectly kind of like raised me in some ways, or like, you know, that really changed my life, weirdly enough, was Malcolm X.
Oh, I was going to touch on that as well, but yeah.
It was Malcolm X. I can't remember what age I was, but I think I was at uni. I was somewhere between the age of like 17 and like 19, 20.
Crucial.
And I read his autobiography.
Oh, man.
And I swear to you, no, it changed my life.
Yeah.
So much so that I even contemplated. You know, it's funny how impressionable, you know, we are, and how like he's not easily influenced, but how the impact of something can make you do something like support Arsenal. Malcolm X, I would have. I felt like I was going to convert to Islam at the time, and I grew up in a born again Christian home. And I even remember my partner, you know, like my wife now, but at the time she was thinking to myself like, wow, like I'll tell you to do something, you don't do it, but like you read Malcolm X's book and you're gonna go to Islam, like just like that. Like I said, listen, this guy, you don't know what I'm reading here. But Malcolm X for me, man, sometimes I could sit here and talk about him for hours. You know, I've never been in awe of another man.
Yes.
And in some ways you shouldn't be, but with Malcolm X, I was.
Who says you shouldn't be, though? Who says you shouldn't be?
Yeah, but you know, like me, I don't look at people. I look at people like celebrities. But Malcolm X wasn't any.
He wasn't a celebrity
guy.
or nothing like that. That man was a beautiful person because it was the juxtaposition of what he was growing up and then what he became, and that he selflessly gave his life for us.
Yes.
And like you, I read his book at a young age, but I came across Muhammad Ali. And his autobiography, which my auntie bought for me for my 18th birthday, which was King of the World. And when I read that, Malcolm X featured prominently in that book. So I was like, right, I need to get that book. So Muhammad Ali's story was hugely inspiring. But when I read Malcolm X, I was like, nah, this is it. And that reading those books helped me to achieve my goal of playing professional football. By the age of 19, I read those books at 18 and I went for it. And even watching the film, I watched it last year with my son again. And I'll be real with you. I'm just real. I cried at the end because it really resonated more so with me now because I fast Ramadan every year. I'm not Muslim. I'm not practicing Muslim, but I love Islam. I respect the religion, and I fast every year. But I watch it with my son, and literally at the end, it just hit me like this man gave his whole entire life to us, and no one fought to protect him.
Yeah,
you know, he put his family on the line for what he believed and for his people. And I love it. I love the man. I love what he's done. And I love how he evolved, especially after he went to Africa and his pilgrimage to Mecca. I love that because
the way he saw people,
yes,
he realized that
after
his
that,
hatred was misplaced.
right, exactly that.
Yeah.
So the reflection in him was beautiful as
Yes.
well. It was
Yes.
beautiful for him to, because his message didn't change,
Yeah.
you know. And you know the reason why, the reason why I like talking about Malcolm X, because when you say his name around particular groups, they get uptight.
Yeah.
They start thinking you're about to start supporting a terrorist and
Yeah.
some whatever. And I love it because they only think about the image that was created of him,
Yep.
which was that he was a white hating
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
Very simple, poor perception to have.
Yeah.
Because if you looked at how his life started,
Yeah.
in that his dad was murdered
Yeah.
by a group of white racist men, even if he did have that hatred for a group of people, you could understand it from his perspective.
Yeah.
But the majority of his life was actually spent not trying to avenge his father's death, but recognizing that actually we are suffering.
Yeah.
And I don't want to join you.
Mm.
I want to separate from you, because as long as we try and join with you, we are going to be still stepped on, but we're just going to have policies and laws that are going to make it look like it's not the case.
Yeah.
You know, he was smart enough to recognize actually we need to do our own thing. And then there was the clash between him and Martin Luther King.
Who conformed to
Who
his
conformed to
ideals
his
towards the end of his life. And
And
that's
then-
why he was killed.
And they like to back them against each other, but they had the same message.
Yeah.
But the reason why it was beautiful that Malcolm X, when he went to Mecca, is he went there and obviously he saw like black Muslims, white Muslims, Arab Muslims, white Muslims. And then he realized, actually,
I got it wrong.
I got it wrong.
Yeah.
The evil they've done, or the evil that a group of people have done or continue to do, isn't going to be what basically
Defines the rest
defines everybody.
Yeah.
But the message is still the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Free my people.
Yeah.
By any means necessary.
Yeah.
That's where I got that from.
Listen.
By any means necessary. Listen, his life, his name.
Inspiring.
I've got, my wife's trying to do a picture wall. She's been asking me to do this for ages, but she's trying to do like a frames and stuff or whatever. And she was just like, is there any kind of people you want in there, whatever? I said, Malcolm X.
Of course. Of course.
She got Sade. I said, that's fine. Put my uncle Malcolm X on there, man.
Yeah,
Man.
One more on that though. One more. A massive influence on me being a Jamaican. Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Bob Marley, just every Sunday, that was the soundtrack in my house. You get up, I could smell my mom boiling down the peas, hit the music going, we get up, we do what we got to do. But Bob Marley, when you listen to his music fully and you understand
Full of love.
what his message was, it was very similar to that of Malcolm.
Yeah.
In terms of that one love, that when we talk about racism, we talk about that misguided hatred towards all. It's about white imperialism, and white imperialists are the driver for racism, which benefits them and is fueled by capitalism. So when you listen to Bob Marley and you listen to what he says, he's a prophet, man.
Yeah.
He's a prophet. I don't care what anybody says.
Definitely.
What he says, and you listen to Uprising, his last album, that was his masterpiece, You listen to that from start to finish. You listen to Zion Train, you listen, like,
The
beautiful.
whole thing, yeah.
Beautiful. So those guys, they guide me to this day. They really do. So yeah, massive influences, man.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm glad we left it on that note, because it was, you've just reminded me that that's a book that, like, if I could give one book to one young person, it would be that book. And it's a reminder as well that, reading in itself is powerful. You haven't even got to be a mentor. That gift of just giving someone
Done that.
a book, a
I've
CD,
given them that book.
whatever it is,
Changes their life.
change your life, easy, man. So every seed is important. But there's so much more that I would love for us to talk about. So I think we're definitely due for probably another episode at some point, doing so much more for us to cover. So
100%.
but yeah, listen, I just want to thank you both for coming down today. Again, you've been listening to myself, Goodman Manny. You've had Goodman Rizzy here.
Thank you.
Had Goodman Sayce. Thank you for coming down.
Thank
And you've
you.
also had JP.
Thank you.
Lads, it's been a wonderful session. I've loved, chopping it down with you. And like we said earlier, you heard it here first. We will have a school for our community.
Yeah.
Say said 18 months.
Yep.
Let's go.
Let's action that into
Listen.
existence.
Let's go. But yeah, you've been
100.
listening to the Goodman Factory. We hope you've heard and enjoyed, a wonderful session, a good episode. One plug that I'm going to give you before you go: if you go onto the Goodman Factory website, type in www.goodmanfactory.com, go on there and buy yourself a wonderful Goodman product. Give someone a gift. Treat someone today. But yeah, it's been good speaking to you. Peace out.